Hey, 10th grade English students. This is Mrs. DeMeyer, your librarian, and since I can't be in your classroom today, what I'd like to do is go through my slideshow and talk to you a little bit about some resources for your investigative report. So this is the first thing that you guys really need to do is understand what actually is an investigative report. And here are some great resources. Any one of these is a link to examples. So these are mentor texts that you can use to understand sort of what you're going to be doing and what kind of research that you're going to be expected to do. So I would click through those as you guys get started and use some of those as guidelines to get started. Second, the investigative research process starts with a question. And you'll see up here, a good research question is needed. So you remember, it starts with a question. There's an example here on the slide if soldiers should be sent to combat areas when they're struggling with physical or mental challenges. So you're going to use a couple of different sources to get information. Some of those are going to be primary sources and some of those are going to be secondary sources. Your primary source is going to be an interview. You can also add a survey or observation, but you're going to need to find somebody to interview as a primary source. Developing questions and things like that will be important as well. Secondary sources are the typical types of research that you find. You'll go searching online or you'll go searching on databases through Jefferson County, and you'll find all kinds of researched information. That's other people's research. They would have been the primary researchers. You are secondarily going in and looking at their research. So that's the difference between those two. So the next slide is going to be a great example of how to collect and gather that information. This is an investigative report organizer. So you're going to start with your name, you're going to talk, put in your block, but then you're going to ask your research question. So they have their question here. And then she has developed some keyword searches that she'll go into Google or into Jefferson County Public Library's databases to go searching for. And after searching, she's put down her title of the research she found, she's listed the type, and then she's taken notes on that and put it right in here. And you'll see there's lots and lots of information here that she's gathered. And you'll also see she's got her resource citations. So she's got the URL so she can get right back to that link of that Global Issues in Context article. And down here she's using looks like a book. And here is another digital title and another digital title. And then there's going to be this. Now, if you register an EasyBib, and you can do that when you're in your Google Apps account, you're actually signed in as your Google Apps account at jeffcoschools.us. You can track all of your citations and keep them there safe. So that's just a great way to get your information on the page and start taking notes. And remember, it kind of guides you to that research question. All right. So going back to that slideshow, you can also click here to get that research template. That's just a blank template. If you click there, you're going to see it opens that up. Just click up here, File, Make a Copy, and you're going to make a copy and just title it your name. So I'm going to click OK. And now I have that to get started. And of course, you can just highlight and delete that because now it's your copy. All right, we'll go back to our investigative report. You can also use a tree map or an inspiration outline depending on your class and what your class is doing. That will be your choice. Places to start your research. So here we go. There's several different places you can start research, but what I'd like to do is take a look at these three. So there's the JCPL databases, there's books, and there's websites. And what I'd like you guys to do in class right now is pause for a second, and I'd like you to vote using your fingers. I know this is really weird librarian thing, but I'm going to have you vote. So here's what we're going to do. You've got all these resources, and here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. I want you in a second to turn to your partner and do, wow, look at that terrible hand. Okay, that is a hand with one finger up. So what I'd like you to do is vote. Which one would you use first? where would you go first to get your information for this assignment and why? So first think, what would you use, databases, books, or websites first? And then turn to your neighbor after you vote and explain why, what your reasoning is. So ready? 1, 2, 3, vote. Okay, well, what I'd like to do now is talk to you about the different things you can do with each of these tools and why you should definitely use all three. But depending on what you chose, oftentimes I'll hear students that they'll say websites are the place that they go look. And I do a lot of Google searching, and sometimes that sends me to go out and look at Jefferson County, and sometimes it sends me to look for books, and sometimes it's just the end result. But I want you to be real careful when you look at that about looking for particular domains that are going to be good research and also doing Google advanced searches. You can also go to procon.org, which is a great site. But what I want you guys to do is definitely take a look at all of your options. Jefferson County Public Library databases are going to have lots of great information, and you know who wrote them. So as opposed to the websites, which sometimes are really challenging to find out the author for, you can find all of your information there that's also linked to an author. And it's also quite easy to cite because usually when you get to those sites, or the articles, you'll see the citation right down there at the bottom, and you just copy and paste it. When you are looking at books, oftentimes those books will have not just great data in the books, but they'll also have additional resources or additional places to go to get information. So definitely look at all three. And if you start at websites, I would suggest starting at procon.org. But really the place, if I were going to be starting my assignment, that I would go would be these: Opposing Viewpoints and Global Issues and Context, because they're going to have great information, and they'll also be able to give you some extra websites and multimedia primary sources that you can also use as well. You can also use media as your resource, and so videos like Archives of 2020 or Sunday Morning or other documentary videos are great places to look for information on your topic. You can also definitely look at news shows like 2020, Sunday Morning. They do a lot of investigative reporting there as well. And then you can also look at survey poll data. And you can create your own survey poll data. So you could create a Facebook survey. And poll your friends to see on Facebook what they think of a particular topic. So last but not least, you really need to remember that if you are using websites, that you do go through and evaluate whether the article or website is going to fit in within this reliability checklist. And I really like this last little guy here. The document links you to a website reliability checklist, and you can use these 5 points to determine, is this a good website to use or not? So I do recommend using this to evaluate that so that you know that the information you're getting is actually quality information. So that is really the end of my little talk, except for to mention that you will be using text features, which are those headings and captions and photographs, charts, and graphics. And you can see those mentor texts to get an idea of what that's going to look like. But there's also all these great places to get copyright-free images and sometimes even graphs and data that you can use. And then also just remember, if you're using somebody's photos or charts, you need to include a caption for that to give credit to the person who took the picture or created the chart. So you can check the library website for more great places to get copyright-free or friendly images. And good luck!